Good morning, gentlemen. This hearing is hereby called to order. We'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Chairman of the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, Senator Greg Honasan. His presence will give the committee its quorum. So we are authorized to conduct business in this hearing. Also like to acknowledge the presence of our resource persons. Of course, from the DOJ, State Counsel Paulito De Jesus. From the PNP, the Director of the Civil Security Group, Police Director Federico Dulay Jr. Good morning. Police Chief Superintendent Val De Leon of the Firearms and Explosives Office. Senior Superintendent Michael John Dubria, PNP, in charge of the permit to carry. Very important personality here. Of course, from the advocates, gun advocates, Attorney Ernesto Tabuhara III, President of the Pro-Gun Philippines, Mr. Bob Sahot from Arms Corps. So, well, sabay tayo sa elevator kanina. Mr. Alaric Topacio, Board of Directors ng AFAD. What's AFAD?
Association for Firearms and Amending.
Okay. Okay. So, what we are tackling today is a very simple bill filed by Senator Ralph Recto. He's joining us in a while. He's just attending a meeting. Senate Bill 1611 is an act fixing the validity period of the license to own and possess, permit to carry outside residence or place of business and registration of firearms, amending for the purpose Section 7 and 19 of Republic Act 10591, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act. Incidentally, it was Senator Honasan who sponsored this bill that was enacted into law in 2013. This representation authored it based on the legislative proposal submitted by then Undersecretary Rico Puno. And based on what I was told by then Yusek Puno, ang primary objective niya rito noon was to increase revenue sa PNP. And of course, to have a better control of the registration of firearms as well as yung mga loose firearms. So with that, we'll start the discussion. Do you have any presentation to make? People from the FEO or from the CSG? Or you just respond to questions from the committee? Okay. What can you say about the bill as proposed by Senator Recto? To synchronize, kasi ang ngayon, yung LTOP has a validity period of 4 years, di ba? So gusto niya i-synchronize yung permit to carry ng 4 years din. And of course, how about the registration? Registration, meron ding validity period, di ba? Na pareho rin 4 years or 2 years.
Your Honor, good morning, sirs. The validity of registration is 4 years. And the validity of LTOP is 2 years.
It's 2 years,
Yes,
LTOP.
and the permit to carry firearms outside of
1 year.
residence is 1 year.
So what can you say about the proposal to just synchronize the validity period of permit to carry, registration, and LTOP? Sige. Dulay.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, members of the committee, good morning, sir. So, on the part of CSG and the PNP, we support for the validity of 4 years for the LTOP and for the firearms registration. But for the PTC4, sir, we still continue the 1 year validity.
Yeah. What's the reason for that? Why do you insist, or why would you want to maintain the 1 year validity period for the permit to carry?
Yes, sir. I would like to let the Chief PTC Port to answer it, sir.
Your Honor, good morning, sir. Good morning to the members of the committee, sir. I am Police Senior Superintendent Dubria, the Chief of the PTC for or Permit to Carry Firearm Outside Residence Secretariat, sir. So, as such, sir, my function is to, my office receives the applications for PTC force, evaluates, reviews, and being the Chief of the Secretariat, sir, it is incumbent upon me to submit for or to recommend for approval or disapproval these applications for PTC4 to the Chief himself, the Chief PNP himself, sir. So before coming here, sir, I sought the advice or the directive coming from our Chief of the Philippine National Police, Police Director General Ronald De La Rosa, and got his intent, sir, that the permit to carry must, he said, sir, that he intends to retain the 1 year validity of the permit to carry, sir. And also that about the decentralization of this processing, maybe the processing, sir, itself, but still the approval of these applications will remain in the PTC4 Secretariat, which is located inside Camp Crame, sir.
I also like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Vince Torres, also from the AFAD, and the other. Kindly introduce yourself. Sige pa.
Your Honor, from AFAD.
Good morning, sir. Basta, you have some.
Can I add something, sir? Sir, regarding, because based on the proposed bill, sir, it must tackle the individual issuance for the validity of LTAP and registration, sir. However, for the security industries, which are the juridical, nagkakaroon sila ng problema, sir, sa 4 years firearms registration. Because we issue temporary license to operate for security agencies for 2 years. And if they will avail for the 4 years, nagbabayad sila ng sobra, sir. And they are also dependent doon sa kliyente nila, sir. Sometimes the contract is only 1 year or 2 years. So, nahihirapan sila, sir, na habulin yung fees. Maybe we can introduce options, sir, that they can choose for 2 years or 4 years validity. Thank you, sir.
Yes, so what you're suggesting is to have some flexibility or some options, you know, whether a client of yours will opt for the 4-year validity period or 2 years or even 1 year. And there will be corresponding fees for different validity periods.
For juridical, sir, 2 years are minimum because that's the, yes, sir, because that's the validity for LTO that we issue for security agencies.
Yung sa mga security agencies, how do you issue, also issue permits to carry? No,
sir.
Not anymore.
No, sir.
Pero yung registration ng firearms,
Meron,
at saka yung LTOP, meron yan, di ba?
Yes, sir.
So, hindi pwedeng masynchronize yung LTOP doon sa registration of firearms.
Yes, sir. Because
What you're suggesting is to retain or to have an option
yes, sir.
to choose the 2-year validity period for LTOP na hindi mag-synchronize doon sa registration.
Yes, yes, sir. Because based on what we observed, sir, may mga new applicants, 2 years lang yung ano, kung minsan hindi makakuha ng kliyente, minsan nagsasara, sir. And kung nabayaran na niya yung 4 years, hindi niya na ituloy, ibibenta niya yung agency, sir. But sometimes, nakabayad siya ng 2 years ng firearms registration, hindi pa niya magamit.
Is your concern because SOCIA is under
yes,
your...
Under CSG, sir. Yes, sir.
How about from our friends from the gun industry or yung mga advocates? Kindly...
Good Your Honor. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to address the committee. We support the Senate Bill 1611 on the ground that it is more reasonable, logical, because we cannot really see the reason why there should be a 1-year validity for PTC, 2 years for the LTAP, and 4 years for registration. In fact, I cannot see what the logic is. If the intention is to raise revenues, Your Honor, then we can just extrapolate and increase the fees so that we don't have to come back and forth every year. So if the option should be given to the gun owner if they want to have a 4-year period, then they pay 4 times the 1-year fee, extrapolated to 4 years, so that he does not have to come back and forth. Now, if somebody wants a 1-year period, then he can just pay the 1-year period. And secondly, Your Honor, this may be a bit off topic, but since we're on the topic of already the extension, we're also we'd like to bring the attention of the committee that the PTC4 should be per person, not per firearm, because the law, RA 10591, licenses the individual, not the gun. The gun is registered. The individual is licensed, so you can have a type 1 to 5, depending on how many firearms you have. Now, if I have a type 5 firearm, I can buy unlimited. So if I pay the 8,000 pesos for the type 5, I can go to the gun store, I can buy as many firearms as I want, but because I'm the one who's licensed, I just have to register the firearm. Now, for the PTC, it's the same thing. Just like in the US, they have also this concealed carry weapons permit, where the individual who takes the course and takes the seminar and is licensed is the one who is licensed, because you do not license the object just like a driver's license. You license the driver.
You don't license the object to be carried.
Yes.
You license the person who carries.
Correct. And, Your Honor, if you may think by analogy, a driver's license is issued to the driver, but the car is registered, because you cannot license the car.
PNP.
Sir,
That's a very sound suggestion.
Sir, the suggestion really is very sound, but for example, if a person is with him a registered high-powered,
Yes.
and
And the other person is not authorized to...
and if we grant the permit to carry to a person, then he can carry all the firearms registered under his name, Your Honor. So, I think we have to a little bit make a second look on that proposal, or because while it is true that we give the permit to carry for the individual, not the object, we fully agree, but on a limited scale, Your Honor.
So the only problem is between low-powered firearms and high-powered firearms. But assuming that the person will only apply for a permit to carry firearm outside residence for low-powered firearms only, there will be no problem. Sige, Mike.
Sir, I can see some problem with that, sir. What if the person is a licensed sports shooter or a gun collector who possesses 10 firearms? Then, under the law, if that will be approved, then he will be authorized to carry 10 firearms at one time. He will just stash it in his car. So, legally, he's authorized to carry those firearms if we will approve this, sir. So, yes, I agree with General De Leon, sir. On a limited basis, sir, or maybe specific, sir, and
Case-to-case basis.
Yes, sir.
But parang speaking of on general terms, you can be amenable to that suggestion. But for certain cases na hindi applicable, hindi pwedeng ibigay.
Yes,
That's
sir.
what you're saying.
Yes, sir. Because,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
sir,
Senator
there are
Nathan.
some, yes, sir.
Attorney,
Before you, Senator Nathan.
Attorney Tabuan, before you proceed, of course, itong amendment sa law, you have to look at it in focus. No? But basically, the intent of the law, if you look at its true spirit, is not just to increase revenues. It is to enhance, improve our ability to track the firearms and the people who will be using the firearms. Do you agree? Yes, yes, Attorney Tabuan.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the intent, no? And if you go by constitutional principles, you are the attorney, I am not, no? Protect life, liberty, and property. Then, by the way, before I proceed, nag-usap-usap ba kayo? Before this hearing, do you see each other? No. So, if this hearing were not called, you will be, you will not be talking to each other.
Face each other in court.
Each other in court, no.
Before that, Senator Nathan, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of ASEC Rico Judge. Chiveri, thank you.
Okay, I just wanted to proceed on that basis dahil beyond the proposed amendments, baka pwedeng magkita-kita kayo, no? Talk to each other. So that when this is defended by the chairman in plenary, we will address the more fundamental issues, which is our ability to monitor and track. Madali siguro yung on record, no? Permit to carry at license. What about the thousands of firearms that we are not able to track, that are used by those who violate the law? Especially with the advent of terrorism, this is a tough challenge for us, and we need force multipliers beyond the ability of the PNP and our law enforcement units, including the AFP. So maybe when you respond, Attorney Tabuhara, I would suggest, gentlemen, no, that you address this issue also beyond the proposals, enhancing our ability. I'll be asking some questions later, Mr. Chairman, but I would like to hear you out first towards that direction, enhancing our ability beyond the permit and the licenses to track and monitor, no, those firearms, registered firearms, and those who are allowed to carry, no, or to possess. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The simple solution to the good general's suggestion is that you just put restrictions on the PTC4. Under the PTC, the law right now, you cannot carry a high-powered firearm. It's only the small arms. You cannot carry high-powered firearms. So it's already in the law. Now, insofar as the other firearms are concerned, then just put a restriction on the PTC that you can only carry one firearm at a time, not your whole collection. Because it doesn't make sense. If you give a PTC and he brings 10 firearms, it doesn't make sense. So the restriction can be placed in the PTC itself. That will solve the problem. Now, insofar as the other issues are concerned by the Honorable Senator Honasan, the act of registration and the act of registering the PTC and the LTAP is already an act where you can track already the ownership of the firearm. It's the unlicensed or unregistered firearms which constitute 99.9% of the crimes committed using firearms in the Philippines, which is the problem. So it's not the licensed firearms which are the problem. That is already a very good way to solve the problem of crime. It is the unlicensed firearms, sir, which are the problem.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add, Attorney Tabuhara, no? May kasabihan, I don't know if that principle still holds, no? Guns do not kill. It's the people behind the gun that kill. The ones, it's not the gun, but the man behind the gun.
That may sound cliche, no? That's a well-worn statement, but it's actually true. Because the gun is just an inanimate object. It can not command itself to shoot somebody. And it is the person who wields the firearm and points it at another person, which is the problem. It's not the firearm itself.
Last point on this issue, no? In fact, this is not a cut and ride issue, gentlemen. The chairman just said that we'll focus on this, no? But malalalim ang issue na involved ito. And it's about time we look at this para during the period of amendments, if it reaches that point, we can introduce slowly these provisions that will improve our capability, again, as I said, to track the firearms and the people who will be using these firearms. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Legal, may we hear your views on the discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have actually discussed this in the office, and we don't have any problem as to the uniformity of the, let's say, 4-year period as to the 3 types. However, of course, we also take cognizant of the fact that the PNP is the implementing agency when it comes to this, so we also defer to their wisdom.
Not from the AFAD. Want to contribute something to the discussion?
Yeah, I think Attorney Brian Tago will speak in behalf of AFAD.
Actually, Your Honor, as per instruction, we already have prepared proposed bill that we intend to submit before the House of Representatives. However, our proposal is for the LTOP for validity, lifetime, Your Honor. But however, Your Honor, this is not upon the previous law regarding the
regulation of firearm in administrative code that previously the licenses of firearms, license to own firearm is issued for a lifetime. However, it was amended in Presidential Decree 1866, Your Honor. However, there are still some requirements and regulations that we should put into and discuss. And we are willing to cooperate and submit our views by way of any document or position paper regarding this matter, Your Honor.
Thank you. Lifetime. Well,
Your Honor, in my several consultations with personalities and including the consultation with no less than the Executive Secretary, Medial Dia, we believe and we share the same thoughts that LTOP should be a one-time grant, no? But it is only subject for renewal every a certain period of time. But in the renewal, of course, we have to revisit the requirements insofar as renewal is concerned. I would like to highlight that the centerpiece of this administration is the drug war, and so we cannot forego, of course, with removing the drug test in the requirements, but taking or comparing it with the driver's license, only one time that you are required to undergo gun safety, driving skills test, and then it is all for renewal every now and then. It's either picture and so on. But for the LTOP, I would like to speak for myself that, of course, we can increase the validity of this LTOP, only that we have to streamline as per the President's instruction. Now, going back to the comment of a one-time grant, of course, subject to the review on the requirements every time that we renew. That's my thoughts, Your Honor. Thank you.
in the first place, why 4 years? Why not 3 years? Why not 5 years? Bakit 4?
Initially, Your Honor, what we have in an existing law is that we have 4 years for firearms registration and 2 years for the LTOP. The bill that is being proposed is a welcome move from us, as we can even decongest the traffic in Camp Crame. The development of today, I would like to inform the honorable members of this committee that we now have the one-stop shop that can house already several units of the PNP that conducts tests like crime laboratory and hospital service. But the old office of the Firearms and Explosives Office is now undertaking the approval. And with the introduction of an online renewal and the application of new, the transfer of firearms and the purchase is very much easier following the mechanics on the online of the licenses. But of course, the very objective of this hearing, Your Honor, if I may, that we focus on the validity and that the 4 years is a very welcome move insofar as the Philippine National Police is concerned. Only that the PTC-4 is subject to a much discussion, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
As I said earlier, there must be some wisdom in the yearly renewal of PTC-4. So what would be the reason?
Sir,
Kasi it has something to do also with the psychiatric test, di ba? Kasi before you, even in the ownership of firearms, di ba, kailangan ng psychiatric examination eh. More so, do sa PTC 4, di ba?
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, with the document that I am reviewing now, sir, for under Presidential Decree 1866, as a general rule, persons who are lawful holders of firearms by virtue of regular license, special permit, certificate of registration, MRs, or acknowledgement receipts of equipment are prohibited from carrying their firearms outside of residence. However, the Chief PNP, in meritorious cases, as determined by him and under conditions as he may impose, may authorize such person or persons to carry firearms outside of residence. So I think, sir, under the law, sir, the authority to grant permit to carry to any individual is vested upon the chief PNP, sir. So unless this will be rescinded or amended, sir, so it's provided by law, sir.
PD 1866.
Yes, sir.
Diba? And
Mr.
it's
Chairman.
just a privilege. Yes,
I'm
Senator
sorry.
Nathan.
Bal, let me go back to you. Binanggit mo kanina yung traffic sa Krame. Okay, I suppose you're not referring only to vehicular traffic. No? You're talking also about self-inflicted bureaucratic traffic. Now, my question is, may moves ba kayo to decentralize and devolve these procedures? Parang lisensya, parang yung mga veterans
Yes,
na from Visayas and Mindanao, lilipad pa papuntang Manila, pipila, minsan inaabot ng araw. Do you have any programs to devolve or decentralize this?
Sir, going back to the administration of then Police Director General Marquez when he conceptualized the one-stop shop, I happen to be with the Directorate for Controllership, and we have programmed regional civil security units in all of the regions. It's now fully operational, all our regional cell, and they are also processing the licenses for firearms and explosives office. Kaya decentralized na po tayo, sir. Only that it has to, since the authority of the FEO emanates from the Chief PNP, it's only a delegated one. Ako pa rin sir ang nag-approve, but it goes to a certain levels of scrutiny, sir, ng mga iba-ibang levels. The RCSU can only, at this point in time, cannot approve but just process. But the approval is in a mode of electronic, sir. So they don't have to fly out even from Visayas and Mindanao to Manila.
Then, logically, my next question is, saan yung bottleneck? If you do time and motion, di ba? Saan bumabara yung pila? Because if you apply, as you describe, no? By the way, I'm just asking, I do not know, that's why I'm asking. Diba? If you apply technology, okay? If you apply what you are describing to us now, decongesting, no? Decentralizing, devolving, from your experience so far, saan nagtatagal yung proseso? So, I ask these questions because based on taking off from the questions of the chairman, no? Bakit 4 years? You have to relate it to that issue. Bakit 4 years? Is this a move to enhance our effort to decongest? Okay.
Sir, as a premise, when I took over the position, we recognize that our stakeholders or our clients is getting bigger, but our respective offices is not getting bigger. And so we have conceptualized online. Sa ngayon, sir, proud po siguro sa amin na wala ng bottleneck. Wala pa naman po dito yung neuro at saka drug test. Because when you complete your requirements, matagal na po, sir, yung 2 oras. Ang nagtatagal po, sir, pagka nag-submit sila ng requirements on pag nag-drug test sila at saka nag-neuro, it takes a while before they transmit electronically the result of these tests. Ngayon, sir, wala na, sir, pila kasi ang nagpipila na lang, sir, ay doon sa tests. But insofar as the processing is concerned, we can do it online. I was initially discussing this, sir, to some members of the committee that even the NBI as a requirement, you don't have to submit it physically to us. You just take a snapshot of that requirement, of that document, and upload it by yourself at any time of the day. Now, once all of these requirements are completed, the different levels of the offices, like licensing division, and it goes up to the chief of the FEO, takes approval of this application, giving you the reference number for you to pay in the bank. And once you pay in the bank, you get the receipt and take a snapshot. Again, upload it by yourself anywhere, wherever you are, sir. You don't have to go to Camp Crame. Na-queue na po, sir, yun. Yun na lang result that takes about 5 to 7 working days for the neuro and the drug test.
So, Mr. Chairman, one last question in that regard. No? So you have partially answered my question. The bottleneck is in another bureaucracy. Not dun sa licensing.
Yes, sir, that's correct, sir. Pero we have been receiving clamor from our stakeholders, including our clients, na una nalilito, sir, yung mga tao on the validity. Because the law says, even if you have a valid 4-year firearm registration, if your LTOP expires in the middle of the 4 years, this becomes expired also or nothing, sir. So, yun, sir, yung yata yung sa wisdom nung sir, na ipagtama. And before, sir, na nakita ko dito, reckoning on the birth date. Before coming over to this hearing, I was researching why na iba. Dati, sir, nung mga araw ay based on birthday. Kaya, sir, nagkakalito kasi you have to go and ask the FEO why, bakit na kailan ako mag-expire and so on. Kaya parang naging call center kami, sir. Kaya sabi ko, sir, if maging 4 years ito, meaning instead of transacting a person every 2 years, we will be transacting with you only every after 4 years. So mas madali, mas magaan, sir, na ano.
So, Mr. Chairman, so with the permission of the chair, no? So, Bal, maybe that should be included in your subsequent submissions. Your proposals in coordination with the other stakeholders to address this bottleneck, so that we can focus on these proposals in the amendment, pero we'll be addressing the more fundamental issues. Mr. Chair, with your permission, can we request that for the committee?
Yes, sir, we'll submit.
Ninyo, para consolidated yung proposal ninyo to address certain issues.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yes, sir, we'll do that, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
It seems that the only remaining unresolved issue is between the LTOP and the PTC4, or between the firearms registration and the permit to carry, di ba? Kasi yung dalawa, wala naman tayong problema eh. Okay sa PNP yung 4 years and 4 years na nagka-synchronize na. Now, let me go back to the online renewal. Ano? What do you capture sa screenshot to be submitted, to be uploaded and submitted to your website, I suppose, di ba? Ano yung guarantee na authentic yung document, say an NBI clearance, no? In-screenshot mo, kung mayroong alterations, how do you determine that? Halimbawa, pinalitan lang yung pangalan, hindi naman siya yon, pero is no fake, or maganda yung pagka-alter. Now, how do you counter-check kung yun talaga yung tao na nagkaroon ng NBI clearance?
Sir, as of today, parang test pa lang po, sir. It goes to different levels of validation. Ang tawag po, sir, namin doon online validation. In fact, makakakita kami ng mga clearances from court na Sampaloc City, Manila. So, Sampaloc is a district. So, these are very glaring, sir, na fake. Tulad ng sabi ko, sir, we envision to communicate with other agencies like NBI. You don't have to really submit later on the physical document as we are already, later on when we exchange information with the NBI, sir. Yung mga
drug test, for example.
Drug test, sir, the first thing, sir, background ko lang kung meron po tayong time. Nung una, sir, we were proliferated with fake. So, ang ginawa namin, sir, dyan ay text. You don't, the applicant will not take hold of the physical result anymore. Hindi niya nahawakin. Dati kasi, sir, pumipila yan sa crime lab. Pagkatapos ng test niya, after 1 week, pipila na naman siya to get the result, and then pipila siya sa FEO to submit. Ngayon, sir, nung una, ang ginawa namin is text. So, we are more or less sure that the result, the authentic result ay i-transmit sa amin. But this time, sir, with the online adventure or the venture of the PNP, when you create your account, it is there where the neuro, the hospital service, and the crime lab transmit the result. In fact, we already cleared na hindi na po kayo pwedeng mag-drug test at mag-neuro kung kayo po, sir, ay hindi nakakreate ng account. Kasi during the transition phase, ay nagbe-blame sila sa FEO at saka sa amin only to find out that the applicant has not created this account. That's why we envision that these are all electronically transmitted, sir. In fact, nangyayari na po ngayon, sir. So, the hospital service and the crime lab who are subject matter experts, which are later on kung may problema, sila naman ang mag-a-appear. Sila po ang nagkakaroon ng depository of all the resources.
First, you have to identify accredited institutions para doon sa mga clearances na kailangan, di ba? Drug test, kung identify nyo yung mga accredited drug testing centers, yun lang yung pwedeng, in this day and age of technology, pwede kayo mag-interconnect na ron eh. Real time, you can check outright kung authentic yung pinadala ng inyong applicant for renewal. Hindi ba? These are...
May I say,
Sige.
Your Honor? Sir, sa ngayon, we have not yet accredited outside of the Philippine National Police. Yung pong neuro at saka drug tests are being
Yes,
conducted by
that's okay. Kasi maski saan ka nang galing, from any part of the country, meron namang PNP units dyan eh. That they can undergo, for example, psychiatric examination or drug testing, di ba?
Sir, yung clicking or approving nito is also from the central office, from Camp Crame Hospital Service. Iki-click niya, sir, po sa amin. So, you can take your examination in Davao.
Yes.
Tapos sila din, sir, itatransmit nila
Sa
dito
PNP.
sa PNP Hospital.
Yeah.
Si PNP Hospital will click it to the FEO, sir.
Sa NBI, meron kayong interconnection?
Sir, kasalukuyan pa lang po yung pag-uusap namin, sir, kasi if they're willing to share the information. Pero ang sabi namin,
So it's not a matter of sharing information, but the moment you receive online, say a screenshot of an NBI clearance to given to a particular person, pwede nyo kahit i-counter-check sa NBI, ito ba yung tao na merong NBI clearance? Hindi
Yes,
naman yung talagang all the information available in the NBI clearance section will be made accessible sa PNP. Hindi naman ganun eh. Case to case, hindi ba? But malaking tulong kasi yung online sa traffic, unang-una. Saka sa convenience, baka nga, pagka merong online renewal, baka hindi na tayo nag-uusap ng extension ng validity period eh. Di ba? Dahil it's very easy for us to renew online, assuming that you have put up your own user account, di ba?
Sir, pag matapos na po yung interface between NBI and FEO, generally, sir, pupunta ka na lang sa mga PNP camps for neuro and drug test and test. You don't have to go to the FEO office for the application. And moving forward, sir, if I may also, we already conceptualize and talks is being undertaken with the PhilFost relative to the delivery of the licenses itself. Thank you, sir.
Wala na yung kaso ni Director General Purisima. Wala nang wear past.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Nasa.
Well, okay, let me go back to you. What about interaction or coordination for tracking and monitoring with international agencies, foreign agencies? Because, let me put it across, no? That's why I'm saying, when you make your submissions, if I may request with the permission of the chair, no? Go beyond the issue that is proposed in the amendment, no? Ang problema talaga natin, yung unregistered. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'm looking here at a submission, no? Ito let the figure speak for itself. Total number of registered firearms. Ito yung kapipid lang sa amin yan. Held by civilian, 1,289,199. Ito held by government, Military, 310,950. Law enforcement agencies, 200,002. For a total of 510. In short, mas marami, dito pa lang on record, yung hawak ng civilian is sa military and law enforcement. The aggregate is 1,800,151. Ito yung natatrack pa lang natin on record. Now let's go to quality. Ito yung second part. Total number of firearms per type. Small arms, 1,658,267. Light weapon, 141,884. Let the figures speak for itself. I'm not talking about with the advent of terrorism, foreign funding and equipment coming in through our very porous borders. Doon talaga tayo mamumroblema. If you're looking at the problem seriously, that's why, again, I have to emphasize this over and over again. Beyond the scope of the amendments, it's about time we review the entire law. If you remember well, Mr. Chairman, we separated firearms and explosives because the learning curve of terrorists is also improving. Diba? Kaya hiniwalay natin para mas madali ang monitoring and tracking. That, if I can remember correctly, was the intent of separating these two laws. Okay, so put your heads together so that when you make your submissions, we can look at the law itself beyond the proposed amendments.
What Senator Nasan read a while ago is just half of the story. Ilan yung unregistered?
Based on the Directorate for Intelligence report, which is subject also for amnesties, about 28,000 across the country, Your Honor.
How many are unrenewed? And therefore, illegally possessed na yun, di ba?
Yes, sir. Unrenewed, classified now also as loose firearms, is close to 1 million, Your Honor. When we came up with certain projects, out of 1.7 million firearms across the country, there were only 489,000 firearms renewed after 4 years. And that is why also in my consultation with no less than Yusek Puno, I mentioned to him about the transitory provision which was not introduced in the law, where so many firearm holders or licensees were hard up complying with the 10 requirements to be able to get the license to own and possess firearm.
So out of the 1 point, kasi ngayon ang license, ang registered firearms na minus yung sa military, held by civilians, 1.289, di ba? Million. Ang dati, 1.7 yung registered. Therefore, ang hindi na-renew so far, nasa mga 500 or 400 plus thousand firearms.
Your Honor, even more, Your Honor.
Even more.
Yes, sir.
So, ilan ang estimate yung, hindi estimate kasi record dito eh. Pwede kayo mag-refer sa records compared to the formerly registered firearms, tapos yung hindi na-renew, makakapture nyo yung hindi. And, identify nyo naman kung sino yung firearms holders, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor. Sila po yung naging subject ng Oplan Katok.
Yes, Oplan Katok. And how is that progressing? Tinigil na ba yun?
Hindi, sir. Tuloy-tuloy po ito. In fact, we also came up with a project to make those individuals not capable of renewing their firearms already, like those old people, the sick, those are in the working abroad. So, sir, we shared the data with our local police to help us nationwide, informing them that even possession of unrenewed firearms is a criminal offense, Your Honor.
Yeah, ang laki ng problema pala rito. So, anong number of firearms na hindi na-renew? And therefore, unlicensed and therefore illegal possess or loose? Ilan yon?
As I have mentioned, I have to be very specific with this, Your Honor. In sometime in June, there are 1.2 million firearms across the country remains unrenewed, Your Honor.
Unrenewed. And this is not including yung mga hindi na register in the first place, di ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have segregated firearms that were firearms in totality as
Yes.
the universe, the firearms that were renewed, the firearms that were not renewed,
Yes.
and the firearms estimated never registered.
Never registered. How many are those?
It's close to 1.8 million, Your Honor.
So we're talking 1.8 plus 1.2. So 3 milyong firearms ang
Hindi po, sir.
lost.
Yung
1.2.
total po, sir, nung firearms
Ah.
na renewed and unrenewed plus the
Okay, let's
never
go back.
registered.
Total number of registered firearms muna.
One.
Hindi yung ngayon, hindi yung present Yung una registered.
The number of firearms is 1.797767, Your Honor.
1,797,776.
767, sir. 1,797,767.
Anong reference nyo rito do sa registered firearms? Anong year ito? Ito yung tuloy-tuloy na nag-register ng firearms, di ba? To date. Since the time na nag-reconstruct kayo ng records hanggang to date, so far ang nare-register na number of firearms 1.797 million.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This is a continuing data, Your Honor.
Yes, I know.
What I just have read is as of March 12, 2018.
As of March 12.
Yes, sir.
Out of the 1.797 million, ilan yung hindi na-renew? Para madidak na natin dito sa registered and licensed firearms.
The firearms expired individual is 1,146,188, while the juridical is 651,500.
Teka muna, wag na muna yung juridical.
Yes, sir.
Registered yun, di ba?
Opo, sir. Opo.
Okay. So, i-add mo yung registered sa juridical do sa registered sa individual. So, 1.797 plus ilan yung juridical?
No, sir. I stand corrected. Individual and juridical is already 1.797. For the
Okay.
individual alone,
Yes.
it's 1,146,188, sir.
Okay. Individual. So, out of the 1.797, ilan yung hindi nag-renew to date?
Yung 1.8 natin, sir, ito yung ito yung expired. Lahat expired na lahat, sir. Pero yung total firearms natin is 1.8 lahat.
Saan na nga yung 1.2?
Hindi ko sa sana. Yung kanila.
O ganito lang, ilan yung nag-renew?
Sabi ko kasi sa'yo.
Pareho rin yun.
Uh, 472,624, sir.
Ang nag-renew.
Oh, sir.
472,624.
624, sir. Yes, sir.
Therefore, 1.797, 767 minus 472, ang hindi nag-renew, nasa mga 1.2 million.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Ito yung hindi na renew, therefore loose, ano?
That's correct, sir.
I-add mo ngayon yung estimate nyo na loose firearms.
Close to 1.3 million, Your Honor.
1.3 plus 1.4, so around 2.6, 2.7 million loose firearms.
Yung sa DI, sir, 28,000.
Sir, 28,000 lang, sir. Yung DI.
Ang
DI, sir.
Yung unregistered.
Ang never
loose
registered.
firearms?
Yes, sir.
Never registered.
Never registered.
Ganun lang ba yun, Progan? Totoo ba yung figures na yun? 28,000 lang yung never registered?
So, obviously, if it's not registered, you cannot track. So you'll never know.
No, estimate. That's why we need the
But what's
intelligence.
the
Kaya
basis, sir?
DI yung pinanggalingan, Directorate for Intelligence. Because they gather data doon sa ground
Yes, sir. But,
from their police precincts,
but
ano?
Mr. Chairman, there are also other figures available from other sources.
Yun nga.
And,
Kaya we want to...
it goes as high as 2 million.
Yun nga eh.
Foreign sources.
Between 2 million and 28,000, I'd rather believe the 2 million.
Sir?
Kasi we can base it from ano eh. Kasi mga imported ito eh. Di ba?
Yes, sir.
Hindi pa natin binibilang yung paltik. Yung paltik, Ano yung daily production sa Danau?
I don't know.
There must be some data
Yes.
available.
But Mr. Chairman, may I offer some insight?
Before we go back
Yes.
to the issue doon sa PTC4, ano, yung 1 year and 2 years or more, ano?
Yes.
Kasi wala pa yung psychiatrist ng darating ba?
Apa, sir?
On his way or on her way?
Monitor. Paki-monitor yung
Sino ba yung psychiatrist nyo?
the head of the NP section, sir, is Dr. Santos, sir.
So papunta na rito.
Opo, sir.
Tatanungin lang natin siya, may wisdom ba doon sa 1 year renewal o validity ng, of course, nung binasa kanina ni Mike yung 1866, it's just a privilege na magkaroon ng permit to carry. And only the chief PNP is authorized. So we don't even talk of legislation pagdating sa ganon, di ba? Because it is up to the chief PNP because the 1866 is silent on the validity period of the permit to carry firearms, di ba? Wala naman nakalagay na 1 year o 2 years yan Sige, Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I offer some insights of what General De Leon said? In 2008, during the time of General Versosa, there was a very successful amnesty program. And in fact, I note that Section 43 of the law, RA 10591, says that within 6 months after the law was passed, there should have been an amnesty already. So it's already 2018, and we're waiting for that. So that can solve part of that problem, because during 2018-2009, when we had the amnesty, 560,000 loose firearms were registered. So that takes off half of the figure of what was mentioned earlier of the 1 million, assuming that's the figure. And then secondly, Your Honor, if that is the case, then for those who are unregistered, those who are registered but not renewed, that should be also included in the amnesty, because the complaint of the gun owners who did not register or renew is that the penalties are very high. And then secondly, there was a time, I think during the time of General Purisima, that these unrenewed firearms were not allowed to be renewed. That's I don't understand why. Because the logic being that you should encourage the gun owners to renew. Because every effort should be made to give the owners the chance to renew. Because that will bring everything
And
back into
it
the
will
fold.
also enhance the anti-criminality efforts of the PNP, because
Yes.
once the FEO captures
Yes.
the unregistered firearms and even the unrenewed firearms, at least matatrack nyo kung nagamit yung firearms sa commission ng crimes.
Yes.
We'd like to acknowledge the presence of our Majority Leader, Senator Soto. Good morning, sir. So, kailan nyo plano mag-amnesty? Revenue generation din yan.
Sir, my staff are busy conceptualizing the mechanics for amnesty. True enough that after the passing of the law in 2013 that there should be an amnesty within 6 months from its promulgation. It did not happen, and but there was an opinion in the DOJ. Now it is overtaken by events. The Chief PNP has signed only last week the revised IRR. The revised IRR is now will now commence the final general amnesty within 6 months. Sa ngayon, sir, ay nangangalap pa kami ng pondo kasi kailangan po namin i-publish ito.
Ito lang.
Application.
Mura lang yan.
Hindi, sir, humingi ng 1 million yan. Pero,
Mahal naman.
So ngayon, sir, yung FJ, tama, sir, siya, no, nagtatalo pa lang kami whether to include firearms that were not renewed, because as of today, what is the practice of today? Even if your firearms expired 2 years ago or 5 years ago, a flat rate of 1/6 for small arms is being charged. So parang soft version of amnesty na silang nangyayari ngayon. So even if your firearm expired 10 years ago, we still charge the same. So it's just like
Walang walang surcharges.
parang yun na, sir, yung arrears niya, yung 1/6, sir. Kasi pagka nabayaran mo yung arrears,
Flat rate of 1,600.
600, and then
In
for
addition to the To the fees, regular fees.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. So parang amnesty na rin. Anyway, meron bang legal issue pagka tungkol sa amnesty? Anyway, so provided na sa batas, 10591. Now, anytime, kasi nasa batas naman within 6 months or after 6 months, di ba? Within ba or within 6 months, nang na-promulgate o na-enact yung law 10591, hindi na comply yun. So, may legal issue ba rito kung mag-amnesty sila right now?
Mr. Chair, I think, although I have not read it, but there is an opinion that was issued by the department regarding that issue, and that's why the PNP is now contemplating on, let's say, it's a reissuance basically of the amnesty, something like that.
Alam nyo, pang-enhance talaga. Kung ako yung, in my opinion, mas madali na yung, okay na yung may, maski 10 million firearms, basta naka-register sa Firearms and Explosives Office, mas okay sa akin yun, kesa sa 1 million lang yung naka-register. Kasi, di ba?
Yes, sir. For the former Chief PNP, tama-tama po, sir, yung nasabi dahil mas mabuti nga alam natin kahit gaano pa karami yan, kahit ano pa siya ka-automatic. That's why ang pinagtatalunan lang namin, sir, yung sa amnesty, whether if an individual surrenders, a civilian surrenders an automatic, of course, tatanggapin namin yon. But the issue is, are we going to register it to him?
Of course not, di ba? Dahil bawal sa, di naman But at least, may amnesty siya, hindi siya magiging criminally liable.
Pero kung ipagbawal natin, sir, kung ako naman ay magsusurrender ng automatic at hindi mo naman pala i-rehistro sa akin, what's the use of surrendering it to the authorities? Baka yung ating mga kababayan ay
basta't walang permit to carry, this is my my view. Basta walang permit to carry, it's okay for any civilian to possess high-powered firearms, basta he should keep it in his residence. Kasi pag nasa residence, ang posture mo dyan is defensive eh. Di ba? Pag may intruder, at least meron kang laban. Kung armalite yung kalaban mong nag-i-intrude, tapos ikaw 45 lang, at least may laban ka rin, meron ka rin high-powered. But, yung permit to carry is a different matter altogether. Kasi pang-offensive na yun. When you carry your firearm outside residence, iba na yung posture mo. From defensive, parang meron ka ng offensive posture. Whereas, why prohibit civilians from owning or possessing high-powered firearms as long as he keeps it in his residence? I don't see any problem there. Di ba?
Sir, if I may, sir, Mr. Chairman, sir, the permit to carry, sir, is not an automatic permit that will be issued to any firearms holder. So, per the provision of Section 7 of Republic Act 10591, this law is the one repealing the PD 1866, sir. A PTC-4 shall be issued by the Chief of the PNP or his or her duly authorized representative to any qualified person whose life is in imminent danger. So, it doesn't mean, sir, that if a person has a license or certificate of firearm registration, he is already qualified to possess or to apply for a permit to carry, sir. It shall be the burden of the applicant to prove that his or her life is under actual threat by submitting a threat assessment, sir, certificate from the PNP. And as a clarification also, sir, baka kasi you have that notion, sir, that a neuropsychiatric result or clearance is a requirement for PTC4. Hindi po, sir. It is a requirement incorporated under the LTAF, sir. So, pag may LTAF, it is automatic for us na meron ng neuro yun, sir. So
yung PTC4, bakit 1 year?
Yun lang, sir, ang
Kung hindi related sa psychiatric examination. Kasi ang neuropsychiatric examination pala is a requirement for LTOP, di ba?
Yes, sir.
Not
LTOP,
for
sir,
the
sir.
permit to carry.
Yes, sir.
So bakit 1 year lang yung permit to carry?
That question, sir, is vested. I think it is incumbent upon the Chief PNP, sir, kung ilang ano ang term ng, or duration ng kanyang i-approve, sir.
Yes, but the Chief PNP has not issued a permit to carry na labas doon sa 1 year. Laging
Yes,
1
no.
year ang in-issue niya eh.
No,
But he can issue a permit to carry firearms for a validity period of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, if he wishes, di ba?
yes, sir.
Or
It is
even 6
possible,
months. Or he may not issue.
Yes,
Kasi
sir.
that's just a privilege extended to individuals, subject to some conditions na yun nga, under threat. Di
Yes,
ba?
sir. Yes, sir.
Even if he is relieved or he is retired, valid pa rin yung in-issue niya, di ba?
I believe so, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, Asek.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. On the part of the DILG, sir, we leave it to the PNP to decide really. But we do support the 4 years and registration. But the 1 year, we're also asking for reconsideration because, sir, in the light of, sir, I'm now in charge for the anti-illegal drugs of the department. And one thing that I have noticed so far, when we started this fight against illegal drugs, the barangay officials, for that matter, were now more, how would I say, they try to arm themselves as possible. But the thing is, since it's so difficult for them, as you can see, siguro hindi rin sila kasama dun sa numero na sinasabi. If there are 420,000 or 42,000 barangays, include the barangay kagawads, 420,000. So lahat po yan nagbarel. At the same time, marami rin kami nakatanggap na complaints na mahuhuli mga barangay kagawads, rather tanods, na illegal possession. But the real story here, sir, they really need to do that kasi we are demanding them to give us a hot watch list from the barangay. So, well, the 4 years is good, but may I suggest, sir, na kung po pwede sana, i-termino natin sa termino nila na once you get elected, probably 3 years, doon ka nila sa starting from your term hanggang matapos ang termino mo. Because my worry there is, they hanggang 4 years, I mean, they could extend it. I do not know, sir, if that insight would be possible for barangay, specifically only for, I'm only thinking of the term of the barangay officials. But I want to arm them and make them more responsible because as you can see, there's already an incident wherein some tanods accidentally shot because they're not police auxiliary units for that matter. But if we could have another, I do not know, an arrangement for barangay officials at least, and make them more responsible gun owners because we are demanding more from them right now in terms of fighting illegal drugs. And they have to also protect themselves. That's the very reason why they're also afraid of giving in names because they don't know how to protect themselves, and yet they're protecting themselves with an unlicensed firearm, for which the department is also wanting to help them on that perspective, so that they would also be confident in fighting alongside the police as force multipliers. So these are things that we would also want to consider, sir, for at least an arrangement for the barangay. But we welcome the 4 years. But hopefully, once a barangay is elected, we could facilitate on that area, sir. And for judges at the same time, and for prosecutors, I probably could speak for the DOJ. For judges and prosecutors, probably another arrangement for government officials who are at risk in their field of work, Your Honor.
The chair recognizes the author of Senate Bill 1611, our pro temp, Senator Recto. Good morning, sir, and welcome. We have some interesting discussions here. But there's no more issue on the 4-year validity period as regards LTOP and registration.
Yes.
Ang pag-uusapan lang, the issue at hand now, yung permit to carry firearms. No? Medyo may mga issues involved because as read out by Police Senior Superintendent Dubria here, yung 1866, silent naman kung ano yung validity period ng permit to carry. And even in the 10591, hindi rin. It's just a privilege extended by the Chief PNP to certain individuals subject to certain conditions. For example, individuals or civilians under threat, no? So yun ang so take it away.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allotting your precious time to hear this very simple measure. Maraming salamat. And I was informed by my staff of the discussion earlier with regard to the registration and the license to own and possess, no, with regard to the 4 and the problem now with the permit to carry. Just a few questions, Mr. Chairman. Number one, halimbawa sa ibang bansa ba, sa Amerika halimbawa, ang registration ba ng firearm doon is may time frame or one registration and that's it? Ang pagkaalam ko, one registration and that's it. One time. Okay, unless you sell it, di ba? One time lang, okay? Pangalawa, yung bakit kailangan ng license to possess and registration? Bakit kailangan dalawang lisensya for one, let's say, one firearm? Why can't it just be one, license to own and possess?
Sir, good morning,
Yes.
Your Honor, sir. I think the right person to answer that question, sir, is the Chief of the Firearms and Explosives Office, who is temporarily, I think, relieving himself. But then, as I was aware of the difference between the license to own and possess and the certificate of firearms registration, para na po yung ano, sir, driver's license ang isa is the OR.
Para sa akin, yung permit to carry and driver's license.
Yes, sir.
Hindi license to own and possess. Palagay ko dapat isang lisensya lang, parang registration of vehicle. One license yun. Registered yung vehicle mo. Registered yung firearm mo. Okay? And then, whether the state should allow me to carry it is another. Para imaneho ko naman yung kotse.
Yes, sir.
Kukuha ngayon ako ng driver's license. So instead ng 3 lisensya sa isang baril, bakit di na lang 2? Yung registration, after registration, bakit kailangan i-renew ng i-renew? Ang pagkaalam ko sa Amerika, isang beses lang yan. That's one. Okay, number 2. Yung permit to carry, I understand where you're coming from. And assuming we agree 4-year, yung license to own at saka yung registration ng firearm. Or, posibleng isang lisensya na lang for that, no? Yung permit to carry, bakit hindi na rin natin gawin 4 years? Bakit? Halimbawa, kung wala naman akong masamang ginawa, doon sa lisensya binigay niyo sa akin permit to carry, hindi ko ginamit na masama. So, dapat yan, tuloy-tuloy na rin yung permit to carry ko. Unless, for example, ginamit ko na masama. O, halimbawa, driver's license. The state authorizes me. Sige, pwede ka magmaneho ng kotse. Pabangga-bangga ako. Pwede tanggalin ng state yung lisensya ko. Eh, ganoon na rin siguro yan sa permit to carry. Is that possible? So, pwede natin lagay, sige, 4 years. Or let's say 5, whatever that number is. And then, at any given time, for cost, you can take it away from me pag hindi ko ginamit ng tama.
Yes,
Why
sir.
not something like that to simplify?
It can be possible, of course, sir.
So, nabawasan na ngayon yung objections ninyo doon sa permit to carry.
Actually, everything is
yearly
possible.
na lang. Everything is possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
I'm sorry, sir, but I am just the chief of the secretariat, and the one that is giving or approving the permit to carry is the chief PNP himself. But if it is provided under the law, sir, that we have to collect fees and charges for these permits, sir.
Yes, I have no problem with that.
Yes, sir.
I have no problem with that. In fact, I don't mind increasing it. Basta, isahan lang.
Yes, sir. But then the
Kaysa
chief
naman
PNP
pabalik-balik. Oo.
Yes, sir. But then the chief PNP said, we do not actually need that much money. But then his aim was to regulate the circulation of the firearms outside of residence. The possession of the firearms by individuals or by juridical entities is provided by law, sir. Wala pong prohibition yun. They can possess so many firearms as long as it is inside their residences.
Correct.
But then, carrying of firearms outside residences is a different matter, sir.
I understand. Yeah, I understand totally where you're coming from. No? Now, under the law, if I'm not mistaken, I think the author of the law is here also. Senator Anasan. Now, under the law, meron din dito nakalagay, kung di ako nagkakamali, na if you are a member of the bar, certified public accountant, accredited media practitioner, cashier, bank teller, priest, minister, rabbi, imam, physician, engineer, businessman. For purposes of this act, the following professions are considered to be in imminent danger due to the nature of their profession, occupation, or business. So, ibig sabihin, hindi na niya kailangan kumuha pa ng kung ano-anong dokumento. Di ba? Threat assessment report. Automatic na kaagad to. Eligible for permit to carry. For as long as hindi sira ulo, hindi, walang criminal record, so on and so forth, di ba? So, would you say that they have a right to a permit to carry also?
According to the provisions of the IRR, sir, yes, sir, they have.
Yes, sir, di ba?
Yes.
Okay, so, kung if we agree na 4 years or 5 years, for example, yung lisensya, isang renewal na lang, I don't mind. O sige, every 5 years. Pero pwede na isama na rin yung permit to carry in that sense. Di ba?
I believe so, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I have no further questions along those lines. One last question na lang. Magkano ba talaga ang value ng nakokolekta ng gobyerno ng PNP with regard to all firearms?
Actually, sir, I can only say for the permit to carry aspect, sir.
Okay. So, permit to carry lang to?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The permit to carry, sir, is under the office of the Chief PNP.
Okay.
And then the license to own and possess firearm and the certificate of firearms registration is under the Chief of the FED, sir.
Okay.
FEO.
So for the permit to carry, magkano nakokolekta dyan?
I have a figure here, sir, for the last 5 years.
Okay.
Starting from 2013, our collection is only amounting to 11,500,000. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Only.
11 million
Yes,
lang,
sir.
Okay.
But then, during the year, sir, it rose to 2017 to 71,713,000.
71 million.
Yes,
Okay. Permit to carry lang yan.
Permit to carry lang po yan, sir.
Ilan barrel naman yan? More or less. Puro short lang yan di ba?
No, sir.
Long.
It can be high-powered firearm, a rifle or a pistol.
Okay.
Or a short firearm, sir.
Pero ang civilian, hindi na pwede mag-carry ng long, di ba?
No, sir, because of the declaration or the directive of the President recently that he prohibited issuances of permits to carry
For
to
long.
individuals for high-powered firearms, sir.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, okay. So, ilan more or less yung barrel na yan? Yung permit to carry sa 71 million.
For 2017, sir, that we earned 71 million, sir, we were able to issue 42,791 permits to carry.
42,000.
Yes.
Okay. And then yung for the LTAP, magkano naman yun ang nakolekta?
I believe General De Leon can answer that question,
Okay.
Sir, Your Honor, I'm Chief Superintendent Val De Leon, sir, the Chief of the Firearms and Explosives Office.
Yes.
Insofar as the data is concerned, I have only a consolidated figure, sir. The FEO raised a revenue of 268 million or so in 2014. There was a slight decrease in 2015, amounted to 226 million more or less. But in 2015, it rose up to 635 million. In 2016, it went down again in 2017 to a figure of 528 million, Your Honor.
Million. LTAP yun.
No, sir. That's for LTOP and the firearm
And registration.
as well. Yes.
So, 500 million. So, clearly na year, more or less, siguro mga 600 million kayo.
Yes, Your Honor.
More or less, di ba? For both na. And does that money go to the treasury or retained by the PNP?
It goes to the treasury, or the trust receipt.
Okay. Trust receipt for what purpose? Saan ginagastos naman yun? It's earmarked for something?
To augment the PNP's appropriation, Your Honor, it goes to infra projects of the Philippine National
Okay,
Police.
so 100% goes to the infra projects of the
A
PNP.
portion of it is also for the scholarship for the BFP,
Okay,
DILG, and other
okay,
BJMP and BFP, Your Honor.
okay, okay. So kung i-extend natin yan, maybe the firearm or owners would not mind increasing the fees a little bit. I mean, if you want additional revenue. Basta yung abala, mabawasan yung abala siguro.
Yes, Your Honor. In fact, we have been receiving feedbacks from our stakeholders. When we started the technical working group with on the revised IRR of the 10591, several lawmakers sent researchers to us in order to file a bill, but it's lucky that the main concern of the FEO is to amend the validity of the of the LTOP. Doon po sila nahirapan, pabalik-balik, paulit-ulit. Even justices, when I conducted caravan in the Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, parang naasiwahan pa po, sir, dahil every 2 years nga po ay sila ay justice, tapos every 2 years nagninuro po.
Maiba lang ako, Senator Ralph. At present, how many are granted permit to carry firearms outside residence? 40,000?
42,000, sir, for 2017, sir.
For 2017?
Yes, sir.
40,000. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the
Individuals
opportunity.
times how many, on the average, how many firearms per individual granted the PTC for? An average of how many firearms? Mga 4.
On the average, sir, per month, sir, per person.
Yeah.
Actually, sir, this is reflected per person, sir.
Yeah, per person.
firearm,
Pero
sir.
how many firearms per person on the average na merong permit to carry? Kasi hindi naman isang firearm lang ang may permit.
Yes, sir, but we recorded this as per firearm, sir.
Per
Even if
firearm.
one individual has 3 firearms and he applied for 3 PTC4s, so 3
So less than
count as
40,000
3.
individuals.
42,000 individuals, sir.
So
42,000.
how many individuals?
42,000, sir.
42,000.
That person,
Firearms yun, di ba?
yes, sir, but that record, sir, I'll check later, sir.
Much less yan, individuals. Kasi average ng isang firearm, ng isang may permit to carry, probably at least 3 firearms, di ba? So kung 42,000 divided by 3, probably, di ba?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Soto.
Thank you. May I just follow up on the question of Senator Ralph concerning the procedures and processes in other countries? As you said, it would be the FEO to be who would be able to answer that. What is the validity of licensing of guns in other countries? Like, for example, the United States.
Isang registration dapat.
Isang registration.
Yung LTOP, he's referring to LTOP. Sa ibang countries like the United States, one time lang ang registration. Yun yung kaninang pinopropose ng AFAD na lifetime. But ito naman, one-time registration.
Lifetime unless you sell or transfer. Okay. So sa states, according to Senator Recto, it's one time. No, that is the proposal. What is your take on the gun control issue in the United States now?
Your Honor, I attended a gun show very recently conducted in Las Vegas, and true enough, the purchase, the license is very much easier. In fact, very easy, sir. Pag binili mo, andyan na yung lisensya mo, you can carry it. Sa amin, sir, iba-iba. You apply for LTOP for an individual, and then for the registration, and then later on for the permit to carry. a while ago, sir, meron kaming mga discussion tungkol dyan, sir. Pero parang sa kultura ng Pinoy, parang mahirapan siyang i-grant that easy. In fact, when I had my discussion with Yusek Puno, marami po siyang sinabi kung bakit na-conceptualize. Because before 2013, we only have one license. That license pertains to the individual and the firearm registration as well. Today, we already have two licenses. The license to own and possess for the person and the firearm registration for the firearm. But the only requirement for firearm registration is the LTOP. Yun lang po, sir, ang ano. So, parang nalagyan lang, sir, ng added layer. In fact, I exerted the effort to look for the transcript of the discussion kung bakit nagkaroon po ng 10591. As we have been continuously receiving complaints about these requirements. That is why I was telling about the figure that when we have 1.7 million firearms, only 489,000 renewed their firearms after 4 years because of the difficulty in securing an LTOP. And we also discussed about a transitory provision that was not introduced. That's why even those who were not criminals became criminals after passing of the law, Your Honor. We do welcome the extension on the validity. I got the official stand of the head of the Philippine National Police that aligning the validity of the LTOP with that of the registration is a very welcome to the Philippine National Police, Your Honor.
All right. Just one final question, Mr. Chairman. Nung araw, merong perspective that your car is an extension of your residence. Ano na nangyari doon sa perspective na yan?
Siya mga lawyer. DOJ.
Sorry, sir, we have to check it again.
State Counsel?
It escapes me for the moment, Mr. Chair. So,
can you make a study on that and any Supreme Court ruling to that effect and submit to the committee so that we can browse through it and perhaps learn from the submissions?
yes, sir, we will submit.
Unless it is not your vehicle. You know what I'm talking about is that if you are the car owner and you are in your vehicle, in your firearm, you have a license to possess, and your firearms is inside your car. Kung hindi mo kotse yun, then you are wala kang permit to carry. That's illegal possession.
As long as you don't bring it out of your car.
Oh, pero if it's your car, it's your gun, it's in your car, you do not bring it outside of your car, it's an extension of your residence. There was a perspective to that effect. It escapes me now also, so that's why I'm asking the DOJ.
Well, you'd like to provide the leading case. Why don't you test it?
Pass through a checkpoint with an illegal variant. It's quite impossible because all my guns are legally licensed.
Let's go back to the issue at hand. No? Permit to carry. Kung 4 years na yung LTOP, walang problema, walang issue. 4 years na rin yung kasabay na nung registration. Ang issue na iwanan na lang, this bill, yung permit to carry. Why not allow a 4-year validity period, no? And ang isang question is, dahil binasa mo yung 1866, saka yung provision ng 10591, silent di ba? Basta nasa Chief PNP yung diskarte or his duly authorized representative, kung mag-i-issue siya ng permit to carry. Higpitan nyo na lang yung Ako, when I was Chief PNP, I only issued, galit sa akin yung mga program Ang na-issue ko parang wala pang 500. Mga 200.
Yes, sir.
No. But, ang vision ko kasi noon, eventually, there'll be no more carrying of firearms outside residence. But I wanted to prepare the PNP muna na they can take care of security. If it comes to that, there's no need for civilians to arm themselves, at least outside their residences. Yun ang vision ko noon But now, it seems that mukhang hindi naman capable yung PNP na, di ba? And we will never be capable of protecting each and every human life If
the vision become blurred.
So, bakit hindi na nang natin gawing 4 years na rin? Kasi kala ko kanina, nakatay yung neuropsychiatric exams doon sa permit to carry. Hindi naman pala sa ELTO pala
Yes, sir.
Sige.
Yes, thank you, sir. Firstly, sir, may I inform the chair that our representative from the health service, the neuropsychiatric officer, the person of Police Chief Inspector Michelle Cruz is already here with us. Second, gleaning from the PTC4 requirements, sir, although there is no neuropsychiatric exam as part of the requirement, we have NBI clearance as part of the requirement, which has a validity of only 1 year, sir. It's part of the clearance, sir. Among the clearances for the application for PTC4 is an NBI clearance. Yes, sir. It may be one reason, sir.
With the permission, ako I suppose, basta pinasanan niya, bigyan mo gawin mo ng 4 or 5 years, whatever that number is. And then with cost, pwede mo tanggalin pagka ginamit yan na masama.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Di ba?
Yes, sir. It was advised, sir, that we will be looking into this issue, and then we will be submitting a position paper if required, sir.
Yes, and then to address the concern also of the Chief Firearm FEO, na 400,000 lang ang nag-renew out of 1.7 million. Gawa nung sa dami ng dokumento, dalawa-dalawa, and my impression on the statements earlier by the Chief FEO is that we're better off with one license in LTAP at registration. Isa na rin, katulad dati, kaysa dalawa. And then you have the permit to carry.
May, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when you were...
So, halimbawa sa wallet ko, 3 ang dala-dala ko ngayon. For a firearm. Nandito dapat yung LTAP ko, nandito dapat yung registration ko, nandito dapat yung permit to carry ko. Di ba? Kung...
related do sa nire-raise ni Senator Ralto, baka pwede integrate na lang sa isang card, yung sa LTOP, kasama na doon yung mga registered firearms. I-barcode na lang natin. Kasi kung ililista mo lahat yung make, type, model, serial number, baka hindi kumasya sa... Pero there's always a way to ma-incorporate na lang natin sa LTOP or one LTOP and one firearms registration sa isang card na lang. Hindi ang kapal hindi nga kasi sa wallet. Kailangan mo mayroong bag Pagdala mo lahat yung firearms registration, talagang Ako, disclosure, I have 9 registered firearms. Hindi mo madadala sa wallet mo yung 9 registered firearms, tapos binibigyan nyo pa ako ng permit to carry. So, doble yung kapal. So, baka pwedeng integrate na lang sa isang card. Okay na yung LTOP, isang card. Or kung kasya pa rin yung lahat ng registered firearms dun sa LTOP, mas mainam isang card na lang yung dala. Di ba?
Yes, sir. As we are fixing the glitches of our IT infrastructure, that's why we're online. We will consider the statement of the Honorable Chair, sir, in our study to further streamline. Pero, sir, kung bumili ka ng isang baril, ay papalitan ulit yung card mo.
When you sell or when you purchase, then you have to renew your firearms registration card. Kasi mag-iiba na yung or kung naka-incorporate sa LTOP, papalitan mo yung LTOP mo kasi iba na yung configuration
Yes, sir. We will be ready to answer that. I will consult also the.
So do we need to legislate the 4-year validity period of the permit to carry firearm outside residence? Para obligado na yung Chief PNP na pag nag-issue siya, anyway, this is within his prerogative, no, under the law, to issue a permit to carry firearms outside residence. Kung i-legislate namin going 4 years, do we have a problem? Of course, wala. Susunod kayo, di ba?
Pero, sir, can I make a... Pwede bang option lang, sir, na you apply for 4 years, but the Chief PNP is left the discretion to grant 4 years, 2 years, or 1 year?
But why? Why give the discretion?
It's either issues or he doesn't issue. Either the individual is qualified or not qualified. Ganun lang yun.
And then for cause, you can revoke it.
Gano bang fee for permit to carry?
For businessmen, sir, is 6,000.
O, di gawin natin 24,000 kung 4 years.
Yes, sir. If it's
Hindi, kasi 6,000 per year.
yes, if it's provided by the
Mababawasan yung kanilang revenues eh. Sa high-powered, na doon sa mga qualified, magkano?
Actually, sir, for
Pareho lang.
permit to carry, the same thing, sir.
Basta 6,000 per
Yes, sir.
firearm.
Yes, sir. But for government employees, sir, and uniform
50%.
personnel, it's just free. Actually, sir, it's just 200 pesos, sir.
200 pesos. Oh, tayo, government tayo eh.
Hindi, pero
Huwag ka na magreklamo.
pag nag-retire tayo, magre-retire dito mga to. Tataas yung gastos ninyo, di ba? At siya mabuti, ayusin na natin lahat yun. Dahil parang pag nag-retire tayo lahat, madali kumuha ng permit to carry pa rin at firearm to possess, di ba?
So what's your position if we include in this piece of legislation, in sa bill na dinidiscuss, we will insert the provision, actually, amendatory bill ito na 4 years na yung permit to carry. Wala na yung option kasi kung may option, pwede siya mag-issue. 1 year lang na 1 year issue niya rin. Niya.
Sir, if it is provided by law, then we could not do anything but comply, sir.
Of course. Well,
Sir, pwede pong humingi ng wisdom ng mga membro ng committee. If we increase the validity of the license to own and possess, and one of the requirements of LTOP is drug test, in what way can we administer the frequency of the drug test, considering that this is the centerpiece of the present administration?
The impression is that same thing. When you apply, you take all these tests. If you pass, then you're eligible to own a firearm and possibly to carry, if your life is in imminent danger, right? Okay. If for cause you abuse of authority, it can be taken away from you. Anytime.
Mr. Chair, perhaps what Chief Soup De Leon is saying is that what if within the 4 years validity of your permit to carry, you become a drug dependent? They will not know because you will not undergo a drug test. Perhaps, is that what you mean?
But for as long as you did not abuse the authority, it's a non-issue. Hindi ka naman nag-abuso eh. Hindi mo linabas yung baril mo, namaril ka ng ibang tao, paputok ka sa labas.
nahulihan ka ng drugs.
O nahulihan ka ng drugs.
O na-drug test ka na nag-positive ka, automatically.
Automatic pwede i-revoke.
Revoke na.
Under the existing policy, sir, yung 4 years ng registration mo, 2 beses ka mag-LTOP, meaning 2 beses ka po mag-drug test. Under the proposed bill, minsan na lang po ba?
That's correct. Oh, that's correct. Kasi abala eh. Abala lahat yan eh.
Sir, can we incorporate in that bill that the regulatory office or the FEO can require at any point in time to submit and ask for the result? Kasi sir, nung mag-submit siya, nung mag-apply siya, obviously, they don't go to a drug testing center while they are contaminated o meron pang mga bahid ng drugs. So, obviously, magpapalipas po ng panahon yon. And just a derogatory o kaya information lang na parang involved siya, at any point in time, pwede po ba namin ma-incorporate sa law that the FEO could require within 4 years a maximum of 2.
Yeah, because you may be in receipt of an information that that individual may have been involved in drug use, ano? Or nandito na rin yung yung NP, yung psychiatrist ng krame. Kung halimbawa dating may katok, no? Tapos medyo gumaling, bakit ba regular yung ginagawang neuropsychiatric examination? Paki-educate mo nga kami kasi may mga katok din kami.
Good morning, sir. The neuropsychiatric exam actually is a diagnostic tool usually used by psychologists and psychiatrists, sir. It is the same as like what cardiologists use, like the ECG, sir, and for the internist, the CT scan or the X-rays, po, sir. So, sir, in a span of 1 year, po, sir, we could experience certain stresses, po, sir. So we cannot really determine if the client or the owner of the gun could be susceptible to that stress, po, sir. So there are times, sir, that this client may exhibit some psychiatric mental conditions, po, sir. So
yun ang reason ng 1 year.
yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
So pwedeng nag-undergo siya ng neuropsychiatric examination. Hindi pa siya nasa subject sa too much stress. But sa genes niya, meron siyang tendency
Yes, sir.
na pag na-subject to certain conditions,
Yes, sir.
extraneous, pwede siyang bumigay.
Yes, sir.
So you need to regularly
Check, po, sir.
check
Yes, sir.
on the person.
Yes, po, sir.
So that's the wisdom of an annual,
Psychiatric
especially
exam.
for gun owners.
Yes, po, sir.
Mr. Chair, perhaps what the committee can study is the possibility of a 4-year validity period of license to possess, but perhaps yearly submission or the permit to carry, leave it to the PNP chief if he wants to give 1 or 2 years or 3 years.
Right now, that is the case.
Yun na nga eh.
As provided
Yun na
for, yung provision sa law, wala naman talagang period eh. Nakalagay lang doon na sa 1866, tapos reiterated in 1051, 10591, na yung CPMP ang pwede mag-issue. Pero hindi nakasabi doon kung 1 year ba, kung 2 years, kung 3 years, kung 4 years. So what Senator Ralph is suggesting, or is proposing, is to specify in the law by of legislation na gawing 4 years talaga yung validity. So, walang,
And by and large, Mr. Chairman, I think those applying for a permit to carry or a license to possess or those registering their firearms, ibig sabihin, gusto mag-legal to mga to. Legal to mga to. Yung kriminal, hindi naman pupunta sa inyo eh. Hindi naman paparehistro ang kriminal eh. Oh, matatrack sila eh. These are people who want to be legitimate. Kaya nag-a-apply. Di ba? So the idea is wag natin pahirapan. That's the idea. And by and large, I looked at the statistics. It would appear that the Philippines does not have a real gun problem. Meaning to say, if we're 110 million Filipinos, ilan lang ang may barel sa Pilipinas? How many individuals? Lisensyado, 1.7, pero nag-renew 400,000 lang. Naging illegal tuloy yung 1.3 dahil pahirap magpa-renew at magastos. Diba? Pabalik-balik. Okay. So that's one problem. Okay. Loose firearms, I've read somewhere we're about, 3.8 million? Or total firearms pala yun, 3.8. So 2 million ang loose, more or less. Diba? Is that correct? Are those figures correct?
Sir, I go with the report of the Directorate for Intelligence that
Yes.
We only have 28. That's the very conservative estimate.
28?
28,000 loose firearms.
Loose fire, yun lang, 28,000. Okay, now, in the scheme of things, there are more than 206 countries, members of the United Nations. Pangilan tayo sa may problema sa baril? Na loose firearms. Malayo. Di ba? Malayo. We apparently, to the peer, we do not have a problem. A gun problem. Based on all the international statistics. Di ba? Pati dito sa Pilipinas, yung nagpapakamatay sa baril. O yung pumupunta sa eskwelahan na mamaril ng mga bata. Wala tayong ganun problema dito. Except the resorts world, tama. So baka nag-uumpisa na. Pero dahil sa gambling yun. Dahil sa casino. Di ba? Okay. So, well, thank you very much for your participation in the hearing. And maraming salamat that you support some of these ideas. So with that, Mr. Chairman, ulit maraming salamat.
I think we have discussed enough, no? Para siguro, yung next meeting, mag-TWG tayo. And that's where we will fine-tune, unless the Vice Chairman has...
Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, Bal, babalik lang ako dun sa sinabi ko kanina, no? If you can consolidate your submissions. Just 2 points, no? First is maybe our information management system that results in hard intelligence can be improved, no? Second is yung publication na binanggit mo kanina. By the way, 30 hours free tayo, according to NTC, for public information. Baka underutilized yun. 30 hours, a month, libre. Baka pwede pang prime time. Okay, now, let me go to ASEC Rico, no? You mentioned kanina barangay officials. This, I think, is an untapped. This is beyond. By the way, the proposed amendments of Senator Recto gives us an opportunity to look at 10591 itself. So, pag-aralan natin, dahil yung barangay-based intel, that's a gold mine of information. Imposible na hindi natin alam kung sino dyan ang may loose firearm o illegal na firearm. That's untapped. And our front lines are really our barangays. So maybe you can, last point, Val, no? Binagit mo kanina, ang centerpiece ngayon ng administrasyon is drugs. Kailan ka mag-retire?
2023, Your Honor, sir.
2023. Okay. Baka yung susunod na administrasyon, hindi na drugs. This administration will not be able to solve the drug problem. It can only give it some traction and momentum. Baka mag-refocus na naman. The idea really is to institutionalize what is contained in the law para we can adhere to its true spirit. So I go back to information management, public information, intel, and of course, talking among yourselves before you make your submissions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
With that, the Chair, on behalf of the committee, would like to thank our resource persons. It was an interesting discussion, fruitful at that. So, next thing, mag-assist na kayo doon sa akin sa plenary. May report this out and defend this on this floor. So, thank you very much again, and this hearing is adjourned. Thank you.